We have an exciting afternoon again as we move along. This is a program I've been watching for quite a few years now. I don't know, was I one of the first people to interview you about the Mr. Program? Call me Mr. Program?
Sure was.
And I was so impressed that there was a program out there determined to get black men to teach, because if our boys don't see our men doing these kinds of things, they don't have the option of knowing that this is something they can do. So the Call Me Mr. Program is just, it's a godsend. It truly is. And here to talk with us about that is the gentleman who actually started the program. And I'm terrible with names, so you will have to forgive me. But Dr. Roy Jones is the director, and he's going to talk about the program. And I can't say enough about it, but he can certainly fill in everything for us. Dr. Jones?
Thank you, Ms. Bennett. I appreciate that introduction. And I want to publicly thank Ms. O'Brien for this incredible opportunity to present our program, and especially in front of such a distinguished audience and panelists and speakers, that policymakers, elected officials that we've heard from so far, and to be among the extraordinary programs that will be featured on the program from this point. We deeply thank you all for this opportunity. We often don't get such extraordinary chances to express what we do and how we do it. And before I introduce two of our extraordinary young men who are pre-service teachers currently enrolled in our program, we currently have 155 young men that are currently enrolled among our 15 colleges and universities within South Carolina, and 6 other states, totaling over 30 institutions that were licensed with the Call Me Mr. program to launch the initiative on each one of their campuses. I'm going to give you a minute or two of an overview to let you all be on the same page with who we are and what we're trying to do. They're going to provide their testimony, and then you're going to hear a very powerful video from our current teachers, those young men who come through our program and are serving as teachers within our state of South Carolina. Let me say first that it was through a collaboration of extraordinary and visionary, enlightened presidents and scholars that created the Call Me Mr. program in response to a clear need within our state over a dozen years ago. We've been operating for 11 years, but 12 years ago, we found that we had a serious problem. There were indeed more black men in jail and in the prison system, between the ages of 18 and 24, than were sleeping in our dormitories, in our communities, and among our colleges and universities in the state. That we saw as a problem. And in fact, there were more black men in prisons than in our dormitories that were teaching in our state, especially among our elementary education, early child education. Yet, in a state that is 1/3 African American, where black boys were being expelled, referred to discipline, and dropping out, more so than any other numbers in our state. There were fewer than 1% of our teacher force in our state, among over 20,000 teachers that were black men. Fewer than 1%. That's fewer than 200 black males teaching in a teaching force of over 20,000, teaching in over 600 elementary schools in the state of South Carolina. And we wondered why, the challenges that confront many of our young boys who are oftentimes not very well understood, there's not really a commitment often to teaching them. So that was the problem. Now, we got away from the problem real fast, because we also saw that there wasn't many solutions. So these enlightened scholars and enlightened presidents, and the presidents included Clemson University, Benedict College, Claflin University, and Morris College, got together and said, we can do something about that. We have a tradition in the state to producing teachers and preachers. That was we do very well. So we thought that we could come together and be able to not only produce teachers, but focus that recruitment at the elementary grades and early child grades. And that has been true to this very day, that misters that graduate out of our programs are teaching at the elementary, early child, and middle grade levels. So with that, I'm going to give you a quick overview and turn it over to the real stars of this program. The program is certainly, if I can get it to come up. Okay. It was working. It's working here. Okay, there we go. I got it. Yeah, we found that that the National Education Association, as reported through the Newsweek magazine, that the number of teachers is number of male teachers is at a 40-year low in our country, according to the National Education Association. So the Newsweek ran this story, said, "Come back, Mr. Chips." We found that to be the case in South Carolina. We launched Call Me Mister, which stands for Mentors Instructing Students Through Effective Role Modeling. The mission of the program is to increase the pool of candidates, available teachers from a broader, more diverse background, particularly among the state's lowest performing elementary schools. Students that participate are largely selected from among underserved, socioeconomically disadvantaged, and educationally at-risk communities. To maximize opportunity and greater access, students will have the option of first attending one of our 2-year partner colleges before transferring to a 4-year institution to complete their program of study and teacher education and a baccalaureate degree. In some cases, we also enroll students that pursue Masters of Arts in Teaching degrees initially. The collaboration is what makes us powerful. These are the 15 institutions, and I point out that Newberry College is also included in this collaboration that began with just a collaboration of 4 colleges, has grown to 15 in the state, including all of the HBCUs, as well as a number of HWCUs within the state. The Call Me Mr. program is headquartered at Clemson University, and we have expanded to also 6 other states in the country. 2 of our young men who are here that can provide testimony are going to tell their story. One of the young men I'm going to introduce first, Hakeem Hicks, a native of Columbia, South Carolina, from Eau Claire High School in Columbia. We give it up for him. Give up Mr. Hicks. Mr. Hicks, a freshman, and just in case he forgets, Mr. Hicks is also a Gates Millennium Scholar. Mr. Hakeem Hicks.
It really does take a whole village to raise a child, and I am proud to be a resident in the village of Mr. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I am Mr. Hakeem Hicks, a freshman elementary education major at Clemson University and a member of Clemson University's Call Me Mr. cohort. According to statistics, I should be incarcerated, undereducated, and suffering from physical, sexual, and substance abuse. Luckily, I am none of those things. I am an anomaly to the masses. I graduated from high school with honors at the top of my class, and I am now enrolled in college with a full scholarship that will cover all of my schooling, including my doctoral degree. Many deem me as successful, but I contribute all of my accomplishments to the teachers at Hayward Gibbs Middle School here in Columbia, South Carolina, and Eau Claire High School. Those educators saw my struggles and my weaknesses, and they addressed them. And when they addressed those situations and those issues that I was dealing with, it helped me become a stronger individual. I consider those men and women to be more than teachers, but mothers, fathers, mentors, and surely friends. Those mentors are part of the reasons I aspire to become an educator. Their influence on my life is why Mr. in education has become my life. As a Mr., I have learned that I'm an agent of change. I have the ability to change students' mindsets about school and learning. So when I stand before my own class in just a couple of years, my goal will be to make a difference in a child's life, and my intention will be to educate and not just teach. Thank you.
Outstanding, outstanding, Mr. Hicks. Tough act to follow, man. I introduce to you Mr. Craig Pate. Mr. Craig Pate comes to us from Camden, New Jersey. He is a junior, poised to graduate. Mr. Craig Pate.
Thank you, Dr. Jones. Yeah, it's very hard to follow up. Like you said, I'm from Camden, New Jersey. When I was growing up, that was one of the most dangerous cities in America. So it's kind of rough going through that, but I made it out. I ended up getting a chance to join the scholarship program of Call Me Mister, and it has blown my mind to this day to find out where I've been. Last year, I just came from going to study abroad. I studied abroad in Europe. I got to learn so many things about the culture of Europe and just to see how teaching is all around the world, let alone just in America. I came back. I got to do the Call Me Mister internship during the summer. We work with a summer program, and we teach kids during the summer. I worked with We Stand for Kids. It's a program where we work with children with at least one parent who was or is incarcerated. And basically, I got to work on my strategies that I'll be using later in life as an educator. And one of those strategies is just building that relationship with those students, because we have to treat them like we would our own children if we actually want them to become successful. And basically, I come to programs such as this, and I look at panels, and I see all these great things we can do for our students and all these great things that we have ready for them. But the thing is, if they don't know where they're at, then how are they going to get to them? So I think that's my job as the educator, like Mr. Hicks said, to make sure that the students get that and make sure that I get to their parents and make sure that their understanding of what they need for their children as well as themselves, so the whole community, like Mr. Bounds said, can turn from a hand with a couple fingers into that fist so we can become stronger. Thank you.
Whether they come from Columbia or Camden, one thing's for sure: when they complete the program, they're obligated to stay in South Carolina and teach in a public school. So New Jersey's going to have to wait for Mr. Pate before he comes back home. And now I'd like to introduce a very powerful video because they're teaching here. You know, they're teaching today, so they can't come here with us to be here live. But we have graduated 75 Misters since 2003. We've added 25% to the teacher workforce among black males teaching in the elementary schools in South Carolina, just as a result of the program. And we believe that any black male that comes out of teacher education in elementary school will undoubtedly be a Mister. So roll the film.
Call Me Mister. The program Call Me Mister is actually a program that's all about servant leadership. Servant leadership to me means someone who has been blessed with the abilities to lead people towards their God-given destiny, but humble enough to reach down to where they are and bring them to where they need to be. Servant leadership is the idea that my life is not about me. And that's exactly the same mentality that I'm instilling in my students today.
I would define it as education. And not to simplify what Call Me Mister is, because there's so many facets of this Call Me Mister program, but I call it and I define it as education because my definition of education is drawing out what you have on the inside of you. I truly believe that we all are leaders. We've been born to be leaders, and leadership is nothing but you have influence over someone else's life.
First of all, it's not really a program. I don't think program accurately defines it. I think when we're talking about Call Me Mister, you're talking about a lifestyle. You're talking about a way of living, really. One of the things we learn when we get here from your guys that are already in the program, graduates, is that, you do this thing 24/7. It's not a turn on, turn off. It's not a clap on, clap off. You do it because it's what you're supposed to do.
My classroom. I love my classroom and my students. I was asked at one time, did I come to school or did I go to work? Like a barber asked me, he's like, when people ask you what you're doing on Monday, do you say I gotta go to work or I gotta go to school? And it only took me like not even 5 seconds. I was like, I told him I got to go to school because I don't look at it as work. I love going to school, and I use school so much. Some people think I'm still in college, and I've been out a year already. But it's a learning environment, and it's the same way I had that family environment at Clemson on campus. I try to bring it here, and I try to help my students realize that we're all one big family in 507 at Blue Ridge.
It gives me fulfillment in what I do. Every day when I wake up and I know that there's a child that is going to smile. They come to school, they don't smile, and to see a smile at the end of the day really makes me happy. Even when I go through things that I go through, because I'm human, there are days where I just, I have my down days, but to see them happy, and it seems to work out right. Whenever they have a down day, I come in extra excited. But then whenever I have a down day, they come in extra excited, so it boosts you up, and you just really compliment each other. And so to see them smile and to see them achieve is more than my check, honestly.
Teaching. That's one of the greatest ways to impact the nation, is by impacting the nation's classrooms. So that's why I believe that Call Me Mr. People may ask me the question, where do you think Call Me Mr. will go? My question is, where do you not see Call Me Mr.? Call Me Mr. is everywhere. Our assignment as Call Me Misters is to help people to reveal the Call Me Mr. within.
Without the Call Me Mr. program, I really don't know. Honestly, I really don't know, because without having that support, some students are going to make it no matter what, but that's a very small percentage. Some of us need that support. Some of us need that person that's going to have our back, so to speak, that's going to care about us, that's going to make sure we make it, that's going to make us do our homework, that's going to tell us, if your parents don't let you do your homework at night, it's okay. You can do it while you're at school. Some children are going to need that. Some adults, some college students are going to need that. With the Call Me Mr. program, failure is not an option.
I would say to him now what I've said already. We are very proud of him and his work and his accomplishments. We are very proud of the role model status that he has gone into, and he's highly regarded in Sumter County. I read in the paper where he was nominated, I believe, for Teacher of the Year. Yes, one of our Call Me Misters. The students love him, and the people in the community, and we at Morris College are just as proud as we can be, and we hope that he will continue in the profession and that he will continue to teach in South Carolina, because good teachers are needed in our state, and we consider him one of the very best.
I'd like to ask two people, to acknowledge two people to stand up that did tremendous field work on this video. Ms. Loretta Jenkins in the audience, who did all the interviewing and the field work, and Mr. Alan Friend, who did a lot of the photography that you saw in the stills in the video. It's tremendous work, and it's just all the people.
Thank you so much. When I look at this, I always remember my teachers, and I'll bet every one of you will think back and think about the teacher that had the most impact on you. And it just so happens that the teacher that had the most impact on me was a black male. And I think lovingly of him every day, and I know it's just so amazing when you know somebody really cares. And these young men are going to be able to convey to their students that, listen, guy, I love you. I care about you. I want you to do the best you possibly can do. So, guys, we appreciate you. We really appreciate you. And we just want you to keep doing what you're doing and encourage all of our boys that you come in contact with to do what you're doing. I tell you, the role modeling is so, so important. And obviously, I'm choked up. We're going to move on to another program that I've had. I'm sorry, questions. I got so involved, I forgot that we have questions. If you have any questions for our presenters, please do ask those questions now. Do we have anybody online that would like to ask questions of our presenters, or anyone in the audience? If you have any questions for the Call Me Mr. program and Dr. Jones? Any questions at all? You know everything about the program today? They were just that great that they, yeah, you all did a wonderful job. Again, like I said, I'm very impressed with this program, and I hope it continues to do what it's doing. We didn't have any questions online from anybody. Okay.
I would like to say that the program has been very effective. We don't only just go to college and go to classes. We become involved in the community. In fact, we are often getting calls or emails to say, please come to my class so that bring the young men so they can talk to the young men in my class.
Yeah.
So we have changed quite a few young people's minds, especially with the program that we had at one of the rural schools. And the young men were in an email type program, and there were a lot of the young men that I've changed my mind, I'm going to college now.
Wonderful.
Prior to that, they were saying they weren't going to college. But we brought them on the campus, we gave them pizza, but that wasn't the point. We carried them to a basketball game, they took pictures with the cheerleaders, pictures with the players, and they had a different outlook on college life.
Let me ask you, how do young men qualify for the program, Doctor?
They must first apply for admission to the college, one of our partner colleges. You can only come into the program if you are accepted among our partner college. Mr. Breland, for example, represents the College of Charleston. Mr. Anthony Broughton represents Benedict College. We have Mr. Richard Dawkins, who is here representing Greenville Technical College. So they can come, as long as they apply and are accepted to the college of their choice, then we screen them for the Call Me Mr. program. They have to have an express commitment to want to teach. It's more than a scholarship program, quite honestly. It really is a commitment, a dedication to teach, give back by teaching in this state. If all we get from a candidate is that I want the money, that's not going to get you in the program. That's a clue. You've got to give us some reason for us to believe, because we interview you. We interview students. Students have to write essays. They've got to be interviewed. They've got to pass the muster of misters. It's not just me. They have to be interviewed by misters and misters that know them. So, so everyone is involved in the process of development. You got to understand, we started 12 years ago. No one gave us really a snowball's chance, you know, to recruit 18-year-old black male to want to teach third grade. Now, come on. You know, there are rallies for football players, basketball players, and baseball, and track, but nobody was holding rallies. You know, as Mr. Breen suggested, pizza parties, you know, to recruit black boys to become second and third grade teachers. You know, and they said it wasn't going to happen. So we proved 12 years later, almost 12 years later, that African American males, given an opportunity and given options with some, just a fraction of the incentives that we recruit our boys for athletics at college level, that they rise to the occasion. We have a waiting list of over 20,000 students, 20,000 inquiries for people that want to get into the program with 60 spaces based on resources that we have. So there's not, you know, we have a depth chart that is very deep, but they've got to demonstrate. So they're extraordinary, and that's how they get in. They must go through the process, and they must go through the screening, and in the end, if they're fortunate enough to be a Mr., we provide partial scholarships, but they're partial in that when they're finished their 4 years or 2 years if they're a master's candidate, they have to give back that support in service to the schools in our community, in our state.
If we don't have more questions for the program, we will continue with our next showcase project or program.